Want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast presented by FanDuel. Pistons played the Pacers in their final game of the week. Very short week for the Pistons, only 2 games, but it was a Central Division rival. Before we start this post-game show, I want to read you guys all the inactive players that the Pacers had because they played last night. They beat the Pelicans. They had a really great game, but no Pascal Siakam, who averages almost 24 points a game for them, 23.6 to be exact. He sat out. No Benedict Mathurin, almost 18 points a game right there, 17.8 to be exact. He sat out. Andrew Nebhard, 17.4 points a game. He sat out. Obi Toppin is still injured, obviously. Hurt his foot very early on in the season. That's 14 points a game out. Aaron Naismith has come back recently, 13.7 points a game out. TJ McConnell, who's been a Pistons killer throughout his whole career, that's almost 10 points a game. He sat out. The active players that were their number one and number two option for the Pacers tonight. Former lottery pick, Jarris Walker, who I'm sure a lot of you guys remember those Jarris Walker talks during the SR draft, and Jay Huff. Like, those were their number one and number two options. Now, I know Indiana, no Tyrese Halliburton, understand that, but when I looked at how bad they were, because I knew that they were struggling this year, I knew that they aren't a top Eastern Conference team, but it's second worst team in the NBA right now. That was the most tank midseason game I've seen, and we suffered through a lot of, two-way, undrafted, just crazy lineups through the Troy Weaver era, but Pacers are obviously tanking pretty early in onto the season. I know it's the second night of a back-to-back, but like that's kind of crazy not to play any of those guys against the Pistons. Don't really know what the strategy was there, but just to say, the first quarter, I felt like this game was over within the first 4 minutes. The Pistons started off really strong. I know I had some concerns about Cade Cunningham. There was a lot of conversations about the injury he had previously, and he had his hand lightly taped again for the second straight game, but he started off really great. He was hitting his shots. So I think all the worry that we had, maybe we can kind of just take it at ease because he looked great out there. The defense was just insane. They were taking advantage of the mismatches offensively, ran in transition. And the Pacers shot 4 for 20 in this first quarter, and the Pistons forced them to turn it over 7 times. And they only scored 11 points, and the Pistons had 31. So they had a 20-point lead after 12 minutes of action. Going into the second, they kept the foot on the gas. They did not even allow the Pacers to get into any sort of rhythm. And respectively, that was the Pacers G League team out there. I mean, a lot of those guys are probably not even sniffing any type of rotation next season for the Pacers whatsoever. And the Pistons set a franchise record for only allowing 25 points. The last time they did that was in 2004. So it's been 22 years since the last time the Pistons have limited a team only scoring 25 points in 2 quarters of action. It was 59-25. Coming out of halftime, I was kind of surprised to see that the Pistons starters were still out there. Granted, you play 4 times next week, and there's a couple of games that I'm going to be very excited to watch, especially the Boston game on Monday. You have the Rockets this next week as well. That'll be your first Amazon Prime game. You have the Kings. You play 4 times next week, so it'll be a very interesting week for the Pistons. Have an opportunity to give themselves a very decent cushion with that number 1 seed. But just to say, I was surprised the starters were still out there in the third quarter. Eventually, JB just had them sit on the bench for the remainder of the game. You saw the second unit, the bench unit, Karis LeVert, Jaden Ivey, Danis Jenkins, Marcus Sasser, Javonte Green, Paul Reed, good to see Paul Reed back after he was away from the team for personal reasons. Don't know uh, what was going on. Praying for Paul, so hope he's all good. He looked like he was in pretty good spirits. But after three, it was 92-53. Pistons were up as much as 26 points in this one. Going into the fourth, like just to hold this team to 70 points, 78 points to be exact, that was just incredible. Obviously, you don't want to downplay your competition. And I feel like in a lot of recent years, like the Pistons wouldn't have taken that team seriously and kind of had their foot off the gas. But I think we're starting to see this team mature as the season goes on. Their opponents' points per game has increasingly got better. I think in the month of January, they're only allowing like 102 to 103 points per game. And they started off the season allowing 114 points a game. So the defense is definitely picked up in the calendar year of 2026. And you absolutely love to see that if you are a Piston fan. But final score in this one was 121-78. That is three straight wins against the Pacers. They don't play the Pacers again until April. So I'm sure that'll be a even like crazier all-in tank because the Pacers do have their pick this year. They got it back from the Pelicans. So shout out to Troy Weaver and Joe Dumars for that. They will give themselves a chance to draft into the top 5. So hopefully they get 5 because that was just like flat out like, hey, we're trying to tank right now. Like, because like some of those guys, like, ain't no way they are playing for the Pacers next season. 100%. I do want to get into the box score. And then we'll open up the show to comments and questions. I do see a couple of you guys leaving comments right now in the live chat. Absolutely love to see that. We're going to go to the box score, and then we'll open up the show to comments and questions. I actually saw a really funny comment, and I 100% agree with it, that we'll get into it a little bit. In this one, Tobias Harris, we'll start with the starters like we usually do. Only 18 minutes for Uncle T today. 7 points, 3 out of 5 from the field, 1 for 1 for 3, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 turnovers, 1 steal. He's a plus 27 in this one. Duncan Robinson, 22 minutes in a start tonight, 16 points, 6 out of 9 from the field, 4 out of 6 from 3, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover. He was a plus 40 in this one. These plus minuses are absolutely insane. He led all of his teammates in plus minus with a plus 40 tonight. Jalen Duren had 15 points in 23 minutes, 6 out of 12 from the field, 3 out of 5 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 turnover, and 1 huge poster dunk on Jay Huff. My goodness, that thing was beautiful. Jay Huff, I don't even know why he decided to even like try to defend that. That's going to be all over Sports Center. JD was a plus 30 in the plus minus. Cade Cunningham in 21 minutes, 16 points, 6 out of 14 from the field, 2 out of 3 from 3. Perfect from the free throw line, made both of them. 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 turnovers. He was a plus 31 in the plus minus. Sarge Thompson played 16 minutes in this one, 7 points, 2 out of 3 from the field, 3 out of 5 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, 1 block. He was a plus 29. Going to the bench, as you guys could see, the whole bench played. Paul Reed in 10 minutes had 3 points, 5 rebounds, 2 turnovers, and 1 steal. He was a plus 1. Isaiah Stewart in 21 minutes had 7 points, 3 out of 7 from the field, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 turnovers, 1 steal, 1 block. He was a plus 20. Ron Holland in 24 minutes, 7 points, 3 out of 7 from the field, perfect from the free throw line, cashed in 1 free throw, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 2 steal, 1 block, a plus 18. I do want to credit Ron Holland. I have noticed that he's been more of a consistent rebounder as of late. And I know he had talked to the media the day before of how the coaching staff told him like he could become a better rebounder. And I've noticed that as of late that he's been crashing the glass a lot harder. And you love to see that for a guy that just basically does anything the coach asks him to do. And I think that's so valuable to have off of your bench, especially in a second-year guy, because a lot of second-year guys are looking to get theirs. Ron is just the ultimate team player, and you love to hear that and see that. Javonte Green in 20 minutes had 16 points, led in bench scoring, 6 out of 9 from the field, 4 out of 6 from 3, 3 rebounds, 1 steal. He was a plus 6. I'm telling you, man, like if I'm Trajan, I'm trying to bring Javonte Green back next year. He's been just such a great addition for this team. Really low key under the radar signing too. Karis LeVert had 10 points, 4 out of 10 from the field, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 1 rebound, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, 1 steal, 2 blocks. He was an even in the plus minus, just a 0. Marcus Sasser in 12 minutes had 9 points, 3 out of 7 from the field, 2 out of 6 from 3. 1 rebound, 1 turnover, 1 steal. He was a plus 4. And Jalen Duren was very upset with him that he did not decide to dunk it late in the fourth quarter. Gave him a thumbs down. I'm sure if you guys were watching the game, you probably saw that reaction. I made it into a GIF on my Twitter if you guys just want to see it because I thought it was really funny. Jaden Ivey in 21 minutes, 5 points, 2 out of 7 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, 2 rebounds, 1 turnover, 1 block. He's a plus 5. Danish Jenkins, 12 minutes off the bench, 3 points. Was perfect from 3, 1 out of 1, 1 for 2 from the field collectively, 1 rebound, 4 assists, 2 turnovers. He was a plus 4. That was the box score for the Detroit Pistons. We can go over the team stats very quickly. You can just see the Pacers shot only 35% in this one, 23% from 3. 52% from the free throw line. That's gross. I'm sorry. If you shoot like 52% from the free throw line, that's really bad. The Pistons shot 49% from the field, 47% from 3. They made 16 threes tonight, but it does help when you're playing the Pacers G League team, essentially. Rebounding was just insane for the Pistons. They almost grabbed 70 rebounds tonight, 68 to be exact. Just absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry. 51 rebounds. I was looking at the Pistons free throw percentage, which was 68. Excuse me there. They grabbed 51. 68 rebounds. I think the score would actually be a little bit higher than it was. Apologize there. Pistons did have 32 assists in this one, 15 steals, 6 blocks, 19 turnovers. I know the game was basically over in the first quarter, but you do have to take a better care of the basketball. Pacers had 25, but like we'd like to get these turnovers taken down. But just a complete belt-to-ass performance by the Detroit Pistons against the Indiana Pacers tonight. I want to get into the Q&A part of this podcast. If you guys are brand new here, what we do is we are going to open up the show. It's an open forum. So if you have any comments and questions with tonight's game, maybe it's a question about maybe trade deadline, the schedule up ahead, anything like that, definitely leave it in the live chat right now. Excuse me, I'm just like struggling through this. I have a cold right now, and the Robitussin is kicking in. It really is. If you guys have taken Robitussin before, you know how strong that crap is, man. I swear. Like, I don't even know how that stuff is actually legal sometimes. But let's get into this Q&A. I might not go as long as I usually do on these post-game podcasts. Marquez, let's get the first comment. It says, easy win, and we'll take Boston. Here we come. Yeah, Boston on Monday should be a good game. Saw that NBC Peacock picked that up, so that'll be a nationally televised game against the Boston Celtics. Should be a very good game. I feel like every game against the Celtics have gone just down to the fourth quarter. I remember when we were on that winning streak, went down to the wire. Last time we played them was a very entertaining game in the fourth quarter. Could have gone either way. But anytime we play the Celtics, I think it's just must-watch TV. And that's the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed playing each other on Monday. So that'll be a home game. I'm sure it's going to be jam-packed to see I'll just say it, the best team in the Eastern Conference against the second best team in the Eastern Conference. The fact that the number 2 seed is just like, you have to credit Boston, man, because I think a lot of people thought, myself included, that they were going to just kind of have a retool year and like they'd still be a playoff team. I did not see Boston being a number 2 seed. I just didn't. I mean, you have to credit Jaylen Brown. You have to credit, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. Luka Garza is just playing out of his damn mind for the Celtics. Like, you look at their front court, no way should they be a number 2 seed, but they are, surprisingly. I do see a comment about Jaden Ivey from Larry Jackson, so we'll kind of get into the Jaden Ivey conversation. And this isn't just something from Larry that I saw just from him in the live chat tonight. I was scrolling on Twitter, saw a lot of people talk about Jaden Ivey and his body language. So Larry's comment says, Ivey's body language is disturbing. I'm not sure he wants to be here. This game should have been a 40-point blowout onto the Celtics. This is what I will say about Ivey's body language. And I think some people have been paying attention to Jaden Ivey under a microscope this season. And I could understand it because like he eventually is going to need a new contract. Pistons didn't settle with him or Duran for contract extensions, but let's kind of focus on Ivy. The body language thing, I did notice, but also I want to say, and I'm going to be completely fair and objective. He lost his starting position. He's no longer the starting shooting guard on this team. Okay. Like Duncan Robinson, obviously, right now is a better fit next to Cade Cunningham in the backcourt because we need 3-point shooting because we're not the same 3-point shooting team as we were last year. I think we can agree there. Like Duncan Robinson holds more weight, more gravity in the starting lineup when he's hitting threes and being productive. The other thing I want to like be fair to Ivy is like the guy broke his leg. Like if you've broken a bone at any stage of your life and if you've played sports, it's really hard on you mentally. Okay. Like I could only imagine like what could be going through his mind. Like he doesn't look like the same player. He doesn't look like the same fast, athletic guard that he was last season. And that's to be expected when he broke his leg. Okay. So he rehabs for several months. And during the rehab, he has to have cleanup surgery on his right knee. So he's got to go through the whole rehab process again with arthroscopic surgery. And he's played what, like 24 games since the arthroscopic surgery and coming back. There have been flashes of him like making shots. There have been flashes of him that, it's got a little bit of, speed and burst here and there, but it's just not consistent. It's just not there. The body language thing I can understand, and I'm not defending it. I think when you look at him right now, he's frustrated. He's frustrated that he lost his starting spot. He's frustrated probably with coming off the bench. We know like when Monty was here, he was very frustrated with coming off the bench. Behind Killian Hayes, he's probably frustrated with his position right now, and I can understand it. I'm trying to be objective as possible. I'm trying not to be like sip the Pistons Kool-Aid by any means. I think I can understand it because obviously I didn't play sports at a high level. I kind of quit after high school, but I broke my left arm. And I didn't play basketball, I played baseball. But I broke my left arm and I was just never the same. Like it was on me mentally. Like I just wasn't the same type of athlete after I broke my arm. Now I don't know if that's going to be a thing with Jaden Ivey. He might get his speed back. He might get his burst back. But I mean, like, if you guys have broken a bone at any level and you played sports, whether it's basketball, hockey, baseball, whatever it may be, like it does do something to you mentally because in the back of your mind, you're always thinking like, if I go too hard, am I going to break it again? And it might be time to, just have the conversation really. It really will. These next couple of weeks are going to be interesting. I'm still under the belief that they don't trade him because I just don't really think, even if you want to, give him a fresh start, even if you believe that him being off the team would be better for the Pistons, I just don't really think that there's a whole lot of value there if you're the Pistons, right? I really don't know like what you're gonna get for him. I think the Pistons probably just hold on to him, and if it does come to contract negotiations, they might just say like, "Hey, take your restricted deal," and then the Pistons have a whole nother year with him. You give him 13 million on his restricted free agency deal. But um, I don't know, man. That the Ivy situation's weird. Like I want to give him a little bit more grace. I really do. Because I feel like I don't even think he's 100% healthy. Yeah, he's playing, but I just feel he's just not 100% there yet. Why do you think JB played Karras so much? Watching Ivy try to play off him is so treacherous. Do you think we'll ever get to see more Danis Ivy minutes or at least less Karras minutes? I think JB plays Karras, Queasy, just because it's like that's a veteran that he knows, it's a veteran that he trusts. Will we ever see Ivy and Danis minutes more? Like honestly, like I think when you play Danis with Jaden Ivey, where he gets the playoff ball, I think it's more natural for him. Even with Marcus Sasser to an extent, like I honestly believe that like if you just have Danis lead the second unit, I think it flows better in my personal opinion. Like I nothing against Karis LeVert. I don't think he's a point guard. I think he can handle the ball. Just because you can handle the ball doesn't mean you have point guard tendencies. I think Danis is just like a true floor general. He knows how to get his, but he also knows how to set up his teammates. I don't know if JB will ever go away from the Karis minutes unless he's traded and then he's forced to, right? I honestly think like when I'm looking at it right now, I'd rather have Danis be the second unit point guard. And you could have a combination of Karras playing more off ball, and you could have, Ivy playing off ball or Marcus Sasser, whoever's the hot hand. Hey, even Chaz Lanier, you never know. But I think it's just a situation right now where they just run with Karras because that's a vet that JB had in Cleveland and he's very familiar with him. But it is very frustrating. Danis mic'd up a few games ago, barking in the huddle was classic. Yeah, I remember listening to that. I can't remember which game it was last week, but they did mic him up, and it was pretty fun experience. I wish FanDuel did that more. Had players mic'd up. Like I'd love to hear like Cade mic'd up or Paul Reed mic'd up would be hilarious because Paul Reed is actually really funny. Pistons should have let the Crews play this game for them. They probably still would have won personally. I mean, the Crews went crazy tonight as well. They had a really big game for the Detroit Pistons. Get into a couple more comments and questions with you guys. Patty Grimes, what position you think the Pistons need to make a run in the playoffs? I think if we're just talking about a position, I would like a little bit more depth at power forward. I still feel that's their weakest position. Tobias Harris obviously is the starting power forward, and when he's out, you kind of have to integrate Isaiah Stewart at power forward. If they're able to get more power forward depth, I think that does help them. I also think if you get maybe a secondary 3-point shooter outside of Duncan Robinson, like if you had like I'm just gonna name this player just off the top of my head, like let's say you had Duncan Robinson and the Bucks to say screw it, we'll trade you Bobby Portis, right? Like Bobby Portis right now is shooting, I believe 46-47% from three. That's like third in the NBA. One, you get your 3-point shooting, and two, you get more backup power forward depth. Like, could you imagine like a Bobby Portis and Isaiah Stewart off the bench together? That would be nasty. Obviously, they have to kiss and make up because the last time Stu and Bobby Portis went at it, it looked like Stu wanted to beat his ass. But definitely think that it would be pretty fun to have a Bobby Portis on the Pistons. Wes Weaver, honestly, Chris Paul would be a great addition to another vet that could help. I agree, Wes. I 100% agree. Like Chris Paul would be a good vet. But I don't think he's coming anywhere near Michigan. I think he's made it pretty clear that he wants to stay out in California. If I had to guess, like he maybe signs with the Lakers after the trading deadline, just like on a very like minimum deal. He's still on the Clippers roster, and I don't really think anyone's going to trade anything of significant value for Chris Paul, but it'll be interesting to see, man. It'll be interesting to see. Cade needed 2 seasons to rehab from his hip injury. Yeah, like I think it just really depends. Like on the type of injury, like Ivy might just need like a whole year just to kind of rehab from that broken leg. And, maybe he's better next season. Maybe he's a little bit faster. Maybe the burst, maybe the speed comes back. It's just interesting that a lot of fans just have him under a microscope every game. Case Crack said he was at the game. Ivy couldn't get by anyone, sealed off by scrubs over and over. Yeah, like, breaking your leg obviously is very traumatic. I think Ivy will be fine. I think he will, though. I just don't know if he's going to be in the team in the long term future, personally. I really enjoy Jenkins over Karras to watch. I think Ivy should be patient and it should come around if all possible. Yeah, I agree. Piston fan 11. I do like Jenkins over Karras as well. Um, Maybe you can take the patient approach with Ivy if you feel like he can come back and get a little bit of that speed and burst. But again, it'll be interesting. Arthur said he broke his fibula, same as Ivy, and played high school sports. It heals pretty quick, but it nagged for 2 years. Like, yeah, I've never broken my fibula, to be honest. I broke my left arm, and like obviously I could still use my left arm, but I literally have no strength in it, like whatsoever. Like I used to be able to throw with my left. I can't throw with my left. I had to learn how to throw with my right, but that's completely different, obviously. Um, he broke his leg. Don't know like what leg is more dominant for him, but um, I'm just gonna stay patient with Jaden Ivey for sure. Can Jenkins play in the playoffs for us? Well, he has to get converted to a new deal. I know his two-way deal is going to be expiring pretty soon. I don't know how many games he has. It might be 40, and you're only allowed 50 active games from what I read from Spot Track. So Jenkins is going to need a contract. Um, and I think it definitely will happen. I think Jenkins will definitely get a new contract by the Pistons because you just see his value of being a backup point guard on this team. And if I had to guess, like they probably just waive Isaac Jones and eat his money because he's not making that much money. So Jenkins could get that last roster spot, and then the Pistons could open up a two-way, and they still like Isaac Jones. They could give Isaac Jones a two-way, or they could say, "Hey, Jaden Atkins, you're playing really well. We'll give you a two-way." But um, it'll be interesting to see. It really will. Get into a couple more comments and questions. Portis, the power forward. Yes, that's what I was talking about. Like Bobby Portis is a name that I think a lot of Pistons fans have been kind of looking at. He fits within the trade exception. Having a guy like that, I think would one, I think he definitely has a lot of value, but I don't really know where Milwaukee is at as an organization, especially with the whole Giannis thing too. Derek Brown, who has more upside in the future, Asar or Ron? Ooh, that's a tough one. I think it depends, Derek. Like, I'll ask you guys this question: who do you think is closer to developing a jump shot? I think it's Ron, right? But I also have to be fair to Asar that he's the best defender on this team. He's the best point of attack defender on this team. But I think Ron to me is a little bit closer to developing a jump shot because I think the jump shot isn't as broken as Asar's. Like, because he had a 3-pointer, I believe, this week, and it was a corner three, and it was off by a lot. I think Fred Vincent is going to have his work cut out for him. He obviously said that they were just working on free throws and mid-range jump shots this year. With Asar, they're not really working on threes. But I honestly think that like it really depends. Like if Asar if Ron develops a jump shot, I think he is will have the better career. If Fasar never develops a jump shot and he's just a defensive guy, I think he's pretty limited. I just have more stock in Ron right now, just for one, his defense isn't anything um where I think there's a slight decrease in terms of Asar. I think Ron does struggle at times fighting over the top of screens where Asar is actually really great at it. But I think it just depends like who develops a jump shot. I hope both of them do. But I think to me, if Ron does develop a jump shot, he probably does have the better long term future. Ron is more comfortable shooting. Yeah, I mean, like, even though it doesn't go in, like I've always said on the podcast, like, get in the routine of like feeling that motion. Um, and I think it's just a situation where Ron's been confident, since coming into the league shooting. But again, it just really depends who develops a jump shot. Like if Asar develops a jump shot, then yeah, like that becomes a two-way forward that's going to be a problem to deal with. But I think Asar is still kind of just developing, getting to the basket, backdoor cuts, lobs, attacking the basket. But he's got to do a better job of um, getting the ball out of his hands when there's nothing there. Because I think a lot of times he'll pass it back out the Cade, and then he'll just try to go back into the lane and get a layup when like they kind of cut that off. But I think the next step for him is just developing like a good like 10 to 12 foot jump shot, like a little mid range jump shot, because I think there's a lot of value in mid range. But it's going to be interesting. Fred Vincent has his hands very busy with Asar and his shooting mechanics, getting better at the free throw line, getting better at the mid range. I think the 3-point shot is probably like 2 years away personally. But it's definitely a thing where I think I just hold more stock to Ron Holland right now. That's just me though. That's just me. Does summer league shooting free throws and his shooting from confidence point to that sooner than later versus the SARS? I would say that I always bought Ryan's jump shot Piston Fan 11 because when I looked at the mechanics, I didn't really think it was completely broken. I thought a lot of times, like looking at his jump shot, like his landing wasn't the best. And I think he's gotten better at like coming up and down, like straight up and down. Whereas SARS, his mechanics, like when I look at his jump shot, um, it's really flat, and I think Fred Vincent has his work cut out for him to if he can just become like a 32% three-point shooter, I think that would be progress in itself. Asar doesn't shoot a whole lot of threes, and you can see why. I mean, you guys can pull up like NBA.com and go under like the video feature where you can like watch highlights from each game, like every possession. Like Asar does not shoot a whole lot of threes, and when he does, um, sometimes they hit rim, sometimes they don't. The one this week, it didn't even hit rim. It was really bad. But I think for me, I've just felt more confident in Ron shooting overall because I think that the shot itself looks good. It's just a landing thing with him. And I think with more reps and more practice and having a whole nother summer to work with Fred Vincent and other development coaches, I think Ryan could easily become a 35% 3-point shooter. He just needs more practice, more reps. And he's only in his second season, right? So I think Ron has a really good shot of being a pretty good two-way player, in my personal opinion. But I am probably going to wrap up this podcast. I this Robitussin's kicking my ass. It really is. But I appreciate all you guys watching. We will be doing a podcast tomorrow. It should be uploaded like around 7. We'll be talking about a lot of things. Do a podcast kind of talking about like trade exception guys, get into the latest trade rumors, Jaren Jackson Jr. to be exact. Some all-star stuff. Should be a fun podcast. Just doing another solo podcast by myself. Um, should be like around 30-40 minutes at the most. But appreciate you guys tuning in with me during these post-game shows. But hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Take care, stay safe, and as always, go Pistons. Peace.